Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm bringing you a new video. Of course, it is about EA explaining why Battlefront Star Wars did not have a single player, and also single player mode, and why it teases sequel. Okay, so here we go without further ado. Speaking today during EA's Investor Day event, EA Studios boss Patrick Soler talked about how Star Wars Battlefront, while generally well received, was criticized for its lack of single-player campaign. He also teased that a future installment might introduce a campaign, something that even Star Wars actors John Boyega has called for. He started off by explaining it was a purposeful decision to leave out a campaign for Battlefront, in part so that the team at DICE would get it out in time for the release of Star Wars The Force Awakens. The game is based on the original Star Wars trilogy, but it did have content based on Jakku, a setting from The Force Awakens. Additionally, it makes sense that EA would want to get the game out in time for the film, as it turned out to be box office smash that brought more attention to Star Wars brand overall. So being that the movie itself, Star Wars Awakens, The Force Awakens, actually brought attention to the game itself, allowing it to pretty much create a smash in the box office. So while Battlefront was overall a successful game, it shipped 14 million copies. Soderlund said he is not pleased with the game's average review score. Right now it sits at around 75 on GameSpot, sister site Metacritic. So basically that means the game did not do very well. It actually did very disappointing, if not basically means Metacritic score. That's what that basically falls under. It didn't do too good. It was just in that good of a game. To some it might be an eye catcher, but to most of us just wasn't that great of a game. So the one thing that they got criticized for was the lack of single player campaign. It was conscious decision they made due to time and being able to launch the game side by side. With the movie that came out to get the strongest possible impact, he explains that he thinks the team created a really good game based on the premises that we had. I would say, or he would say, that the game has done very well for them and reached a very different demographic than a traditional EA game would have originally reached, being that EA is usually responsible for releasing EA Sports type of deal of games. So from that perspective, it's a success. Are they happy with the 75 rating? No, they're not. Is that something we are going to cure going forward? Absolutely. So according to Solar, they will cure that 75 they got. Absolutely. Of course, in other words, that means he's planning to add a single player camping mode, as most Star Wars games actually attend to have and pertain to as well. So let's continue reading on my review and base what I'm telling you. Basically, my story review, believe it or not, I gave it a, believe it or not, don't criticize me for this, but I gave it an 8.5, which is basically an 85, you know. So although it didn't have any, it had lack of, it had lack of single player, but at the end of the day, the game did live up to its name, and it did sell pretty good, you know. So I give it an 8.5. Why not? You know, it's a pretty good game, and it deserves that, the fact that it comes from a very widely known series. So while Battlefront lacks what might be considered a traditional single-player campaign, it does have a series of missions which can be played solo and offline. Also in the talk, Soderland spoke about how EA is focusing on depth and breadth when it looks at the building new games. In order for a shooter game to truly break out and become really large, it's best to offer both a single-player campaign and a multiplayer component to their fan base, he said. This is because campaign can help players familiarize themselves with controls before jumping into the main story or into online player, according to Sonnendirt and his information. The depth and breadth is something that's proving to be more and more important, he said. In a world where we want $60 up front and we expect people to stay with us over the course of a long time, the depth of what they offer is very important to their fan base, because obviously you pay a lot of money for these games and they don't want you wasting your money. The game is not worth the while. So they have to go back and course correct that for another version of their work, if they were ever to build one. So then added about how a future Battlefront game would need to offer more depth and breadth to further pull in new gamers and current fans of the franchise so they can be familiarized with the series itself of Star Wars. In December, EA CFO Blake Jorgensen said Battlefront was in intentionally designed to be accessible to many people. They had designed it to be a much more accessible product to a wide age group. He said at the time, so an 8-year-old could play with his father on the couch, as well as a teenager or 20-year-old could play the game and enjoy it. It is more accessible, and for the hardcore, it may not have the depth that they wanted in the game. In other words, they did the game for familiarity purposes, for families. You can sit with your father and be able to play the game. You can both get an understanding of the story, especially the younger ones, because they're not really familiar with the Star Wars story. So in order to make them familiar with it, why not give them something that's more easygoing over hardcore? That way they can enjoy the game together as a family, as opposed to being separately, which is something that's been seen overall. You know, when it comes to games, you're talking about Destiny. Destiny was mostly, you need internet to play Destiny, right? You can't just play Destiny without internet. It makes no sense. So a lot of games are taking this approach to bring back that family aspect into the video game world that was once slashed out for a short period of time, but now it's starting to make its way back into the picture after many people complain about it, of course. So with that being said, they pretty much, this is what Battlefront, this is what they pretty much tell us from EA Sports. What would you like to see from the Battlefront sequel? Let them know in the comments, of course, or in their Twitter page. So if you are, so they're really planning to make a sequel, of course. But if they are planning to make a sequel, they want you to tell them what you want to see in that sequel of Battlefront Star Wars. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this video today. And I'll be bringing you some more content as the day wears off. Of course, I only have such a short time to do it, but I will manage. Thank you very much and have a great day.